lighter than this complexion when I was little. Like in elementary school, kids thought I was biracial. People called me a white girl, and when I came out of the womb, my own mother thought I was an albino. Yeah, I was that light. But the kids in my elementary school found out that my name is Bintou, so they started calling me an African booty scratcher. Because of my foreign name and because of my foreign name, everyone thought it was okay to label me negative titles. All they heard was my name and a list of stereotypes went through their head. I constantly heard kids talk bad about Africans. I went home one day and asked my mom if I can change my name. A 7-year-old girl asking her mother to change her first name, the name of her grandmother that she loves so dearly. After the constant name calling and the push and shoves, I barely spoke to anyone and always felt down, and I always was self-conscious about every little thing about myself. And for years, I had trouble expressing myself and telling people what's on my mind. I was so closed off from really connecting with my peers and even my parents. This is what people of color go through. Constant reminders that they are invaluable and unworthy of being a regular human being instead of a booty scratcher or other titles. Maya Angelou once said that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. I don't remember all of the names that they called me, but I will never forget how that affected me negatively till this day. Uzuomaka Duba, a Nigerian American who everyone can recognize her from Orange is the New Black, talks about how it was so hard for everyone to pronounce her name, so she wanted to change it. And I go through the same thing. Kids say Bintou, 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 or Bintou on purpose. Now, there are times when it wasn't intentional, I think. Like every time where I have to say my name for an order, the cashier always asks me to repeat it more than twice. And when they try to say it, they struggle so much, so they just give up. One cashier from Shake Shack put B2 just because she couldn't say nor spell my name. And she didn't even try or ask. So now I just say my middle name, Lily, which is actually spelled L-I-L-I. Or I just say Cassandra. Now, enough about my unique name. In 2011, a study by Decentric shows that 38.4% of African Americans get bullied in classrooms. In 2017, StopBullying.gov published an article saying that Black and Hispanic youth who are bullied are more likely to suffer academically than their white peers. Twice as many ethnic minority youth in elementary school report being bullied because of their ethnicity. Children are getting bullied because they look different from their classmates, which already makes them feel unsafe because they are told that they don't belong, which poses a risk to their mental health. Speaking about mental health, African American children are taking their lives at roughly twice the rate of their white counterparts, according to a new study that shows a widening gap between the two groups. Researchers at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Ohio found that the rate of suicides for Black children ages 5 to 12 exceeded that of young whites. As you can see in the chart, suicide in African American boys have increased in 2008 to 2012, while suicide in whites have decreased. Suicide in children of color is increasing, which is more than enough evidence to prove that these victims are being targeted because they are different. And it's worse if the bully is the same race as you, making you believe that you are less black because of your characteristics. Do you remember when I said I was self-conscious and had trouble expressing myself and overall had communication problems? Well, because of the built-in pain and thoughts, I started thinking that I don't belong in this world. I would silently cry myself to sleep, silently cry in the shower. I would even break down in school, and even cried silently while writing this. I say silently because I didn't want anyone hearing me or even asking me what's wrong. Now that's when you know you're in pain, when you don't even want help anymore, when you don't want anyone's pity. Often it's been hard for me to even breathe, like there is someone heavy sitting on my chest, or someone having a hard grip on my neck, blocking the air that's trying to pass through. How tight my throat gets and how it hurts for it to even swallow. No one has any idea how many times I tried to kill myself, how many times I told myself that I don't belong in this world. And I personally don't even know that amount because it happened countless times. The fact that I was told that I was inferior because of my identity and what I looked like when I was a little girl shaped how I viewed myself throughout the years. I would do good in school just to mask the fact that I was hurting because I was afraid people won't listen and believe me, or they would just say that I'm overreacting. But let me tell you, you're not overreacting if you have thoughts of killing yourself. There can be no problem at all, but your mind is plagued with the darkness, which makes you upset and angry, and at the end, wanting to disappear. I remember that I almost got hit by a vehicle 5 times in hopes of dying. But some stranger always pulls me just in time. People don't understand how hard it was to wake up in the morning and go through the day knowing that you want to die, but just can't. How being depressed was something that I had to adapt to. How hard it is to talk to your parents or anyone knowing that nothing will ever be a simple conversation. That almost everything is riddled with aggression when you try to have a conversation. In 9th grade was when it was worse. Every day I was ready to die. At that point, I was done. I had become excellent at hiding my pain, and no one would have noticed that I was suicidal. Now, I don't want to say how I tried to kill myself because I don't want to give anyone ideas. Because you will never know what someone is going through until they tell you. The person next to you might be going through it all, but they still are here. You see what stereotypes and what happens at home do to people of color? The fact that children are hit with this is a huge problem. Michael Lindsay, a professor who specializes in poverty and mental health in New York University, says that the disturbing suicide rate for African American preteens dispels the notion of suicide as a white phenomenon. It's not that we don't seek help for our mental health issues. We just don't seek professional help. Instead, we just rely on clergy, close friends, or family members. As it is good to talk to someone, preachers and loved ones don't have the training of mental health professionals. But if you go to a professional to seek help, you're defined as being crazy, or that's where weak people go. No one wishes to have dark days, sleepless nights, grumpy mornings, and this endless dark tunnel with no sign that it ever ends. People should be encouraged to seek professional help and know that they would be heard instead of being judged. Pay attention to your friends and family members and make sure they know that they are able to listen, that you are able to listen to them. And help them seek professional help. Someone that goes through what I've been through needs someone to talk to, no matter how many times they denied that fact. Because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for mostly my cousin. If you don't talk about it, then you can't move on, because you are only hurting yourself more if you keep the pain within. I want to go back in time and tell my 7-year-old self to be strong and not let words control my mind, because I should know that I am strong and capable of doing anything, so all those bad thoughts and actions would never happen. And that everything about me and what makes me is beautiful. Even though I stopped having suicidal thoughts, I still have episodes of the pain that I felt. So I am still healing due to the fact that I have been silent all my life. If you know someone is suffering, don't allow them to be silent, because when it continues, there will be a time where it will take a while to heal. I want everyone who is dealing with a mental issue to know that you are not alone. We live in a society that has been feeding into stereotypes for years. How many children of color have to kill themselves? How many people of color have to die by the hands of our police officers to make every person realize we need to shift how our society operates? We need to stop being comfortable of being in a society that disfavors people that don't fit the white Judeo-Christian title. We already know people need to stop putting each other down. But I want to focus on my people. Lift each other up. Don't tear each other apart. And don't make others feel less black, because you can't be less than what you already are. If society is already tearing us down, we need to stick together and show everyone that we are powerful. And lastly, my name is Bintou, and I am African, and no one will ever make me feel bad about myself because of my identity ever again.